Sa totoo lang, itong sa naging pahayag ng ICC na to, no, nagpahina lalo sa dati ng mahina na assertion ng ating pamahalaan regarding the constitutionality and the legality of the arrest. And then yun nga, lalong nalubog, no, lalong-lalo na sa perception ng international community na talagang naging maliwanag that it's really politics. And I think the ICC at this point in time, they're already seeing the bigger picture. That this case is not really something born out of a judicial or a legal process, but it was really meant to be politicized. No, or I mean, the root cause of this arrest that was conducted, it's purely politics.
Ano bang masasabi po ninyo, Prof, doon po sa balita na no-show yung mga executive department officials na pinatawag po dyan sa Senate hearing ni Senator Amy Marcos kahapon?
Well, basically, this is something that we already expected, pero this is something na sana hindi nangyari, considerably because the Senate hearing could have shed light on so many questions that we have, especially our countrymen who are still at this time medyo torn pa rin doon sa ano talaga ang nangyari on that fateful day of March 11. So I think we could actually see na ito namang executive privilege na to, no, merong mga grounds talaga siya. Hindi naman talaga ito tinatawag na absolute, no. In fact, even in the Constitution, there is really not a mention of the exact term, no, executive privilege, pero explicitly ginagamit ito, no, dahil nakapaloob din naman doon sa Article 7, no. But then again, when you look at Article 6, Section 21, maliwanag din naman yung sinasaad doon that the Congress, by virtue of its function, especially in aid of legislation, may actually bring...
Yes, Prof. Prof? Ayan.
This was withheld.
Opo, medyo na wala po ang audio po ninyo. Yung last part po ng inyong sinabi. Pakiulit na po, Prof.
Details as to what really happened.
Yes. Opo. Pero ano pong nakikita po ninyo magiging implikasyon po nito? I mean, sa mga susunod na mga hearing, sa iba pang mga hearings po na gagawin ng Senado?
Well, definitely may may malaking effect siya because you see, right now, mas na magawa yung mga hearing while the issue is still very much sabihin na natin masyado pang mainit because later on maaring mag-wane down din naman siya, but it will depend still on what will be happening in the future. Pero sa aking pananaw, kailangan talagang masimulan talaga yung investigation na to, no, so that the public actually has the ability and the capability to actually know what really transpired. And ito nga, dito sa executive privilege naman, merong mga tinatawag tayong exemptions dito, no, na kung halimbawa ang issue patungkol talaga sa abuse of power and abuse of authority, pwede itong ma-revoke, or pwedeng hindi talaga siya tuklin. But then again, it will have to be decided by the Supreme Court, no? So it's the Supreme Court that will have the final say whether the executive privilege could be invoked or if it's illegally being pursued by the executive department. Naalala natin even in the past, no, yung Senate inquiry versus Ermita in 2006, wherein they challenged the EO 464. And then nangyari pa rin ulit nung 2008, Neri versus the Senate as well, kung saan kinatigan ng Supreme Court na hindi dapat or hindi naayon yung pagbibigay ng executive privilege. So it will depend on the courts, no? So if I were Senator Amy Marcos, kung hindi talaga sila attend, then we could go to the courts, no, to actually have a legal remedy for the issue.
Opo, meron nga kasing pahayag ang palasyo bago dong pagdinig ng Senado tungkol nga dito sa pagkakaaresto ng ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na bukas yung palasyo, ang Pangulo, na imbitahan yung mga cabinet officials Pero ngayon, nung dumating ang araw na yan, biglang nagbago sa pamamagitan po nung ipinalabas po na at pahayag ni E.S. Bersamin.
Yun nga, no, this is not something new with this administration. They're really very good at flip-flopping, at pabago-bago talaga ng statements, no. Kung maalala natin, in one interview, binanggit ni Secretary John Vic Remulla, no, that the arrest was actually a group effort, and then in the Senate inquiry, sinabi niya that they only acted on a certain rumor, about the president coming in. So, which is which talaga. And isa na sabi ko nga lagi, na itong mga pagdinig na to ng Senado, because they are under oath and they might be held for contempt, will actually provide a better avenue para malaman talaga natin yung katotohanan. Because dito, maaari talaga silang makasuhan, just in case they will be proven na nagsisinungaling sila under oath. And this could have been a good chance for the public to really understand the real scenario and what really happened during that day.
Opo. Pero paano kung hindi talaga makikipag-cooperate ang ehekutibo sa mga investigasyon? Itong investigasyon nga ni Senator Amy Marcos, Prof, ano magiging epekto niyan?
That's the problem kasi, dahil nga doon sa initial na investigation, wala pa naman talagang finality ron, so they cannot file cases still by virtue of that. And we know for a fact that even the Congress really does not really possess the power to file cases or charges against these government officials mainly. So I think what will be the recourse right now of Senator Amy Marcos is really to go to the courts and try to test the constitutionality and the legality of the executive privilege that is being invoked by the executive department. And like I said, it's the courts that will have the final say as to whether or not this will have to be observed or it will be revoked. So I think yun yung po pwede niyang gawin ngayon. And at the same time, kailangan siguro na patuloy pa rin yung kanyang yung pag-iingay, lalong-lalo na ng kanyang opisina regarding this, because kailangan ma-heighten pa rin natin yung public sentiment and the public clamor na malaman talaga natin yung katotohanan. So kailangan from a legal as well as from a social vantage point, kailangan parehong gumagalaw yan.
Pero maiiwasan naman. Paano maiiwasan naman, Prof, na baka yung constitutional crisis na tinatawag kung patuloy na magkasalungat yung pananaw ng Senado at ng Malacanang?
Yeah, that's why, yun nga, yun sa mga binanggit kong kaso kanina, doon kay Senate versus Ermita and Senate versus Neri, may mga provisions doon na inallow naman ng Korte Suprema. Meron din mga provisions na dinisallow din nila. So I think at the end of the day, it will boil down to what really will be a good compromise for both the departments. Kasi syempre kailangan din naman nating tignan na ang executive privilege ay ginagamit to prevent yung tinatawag nating encroachment of power between the three branches, and at the same time para masiguro pa rin natin na maintain natin yung separation of powers. But then again, you need to also understand that each of these departments also have the power to check and balance on the other. At itong paraan para mabalanse itong maaring sabihin na nating pag-abuso ng executive privilege is by going to the courts.
Opo, pero sa pananaw po ninyo, yung yung magiging epekto nito sa taong bayan, ano bang nakikita po ninyo? Sila ba'y sumasang-ayon o tumututol na sa ganitong investigasyon na kung saan nakikita nga nila na hindi dumadalo o hindi dadalo yung mga taga-ehekutibo dito sa investigasyon dyan sa Senado?
Well, syempre, yung tinatawag natin na kung meron talagang tinatago, nawawalan tayo ng transparency. At kung walang transparency, syempre, affected yung ating accountability ron. So, I think the public sentiment right now is that they really want to find out the truth, because everything happened so fast on that day. And this is really the avenue by which we could be able to know that. Unfortunately, it seems that the government, especially those who planned, the the entire arrest is not willing to cooperate, which is a big blow to us, especially the public, because we are being denied of the truth, and we're being denied of the possibility of knowing, di ba, yung talagang nangyari. Because syempre kung meron kang tinatago, ang public sentiment dyan yan, hindi ka talaga attend sa mga pagdinig. No? So I think yung pagbibigay ng subpoena will be a step closer towards bringing them dito sa korte at sa Senado para magpatuloy yung ating mga pagdinig na to. Kasi I believe really that this is important. No? Kasi hanggang ngayon may mga question pa rin regarding the legality. No? A lot of people are saying that the arrest was illegal. Some people are saying that it's lawful. Some people are saying that it's unconstitutional. So once and for all, we really need to understand the dynamics. It's also important for public knowledge, no? And at the same time, para makagabalangkas din tayo ng isang batas, no, in the future, para maiwasan natin yung mga ganitong kahalintulan na insidente.
Opo, bago pala ipasa kay partner Admar, Prof, sa tingin po ninyo, makakatulong ho ba yung investigasyon na ito ni Senator Amy na at least man lang mahimok ang ICC na ibalik o ang gobyerno natin na ibalik ang dating Pangulo dito sa bansa?
Well, definitely, no, magkakaroon ng makakatulong to para magkaroon ng pressure sa ICC. Especially nga kung magkakaroon ng finality, magkakaroon talaga ng decision itong kapulungan na to, no? So I think this is important so that at least from a domestic standpoint, may papakita natin sa ICC din that there was really a fault, no, and that the arrest was actually conducted not within the purview of the ICC's legal measures, pero yun nga, ginawa natin ito dahil sa maliwanag na meron talagang politika behind this.
Prof, magandang umaga, si Admar po ito. Mula noong matapos ang pag-aresto, pagbigay ng government ng Pilipinas kay dating Pangulo Rodrigo Duterte sa ICC, kaliwat kanan po yung kanilang mga panayam sa media, exclusive interviews at pagbibigay diin na dumaan sa tamang proseso itong kanilang ginawang paghatid mismo kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, mapa ito man sa mainstream media or sa government station, ay talagang napaka-vocal po nila at sinasabi nilang dumaan ito sa tamang proseso. Dito po sa kanilang pagtanggi na dumalo sa ikalawang pagdinig, nagpapahina po ba ito sa kanilang claim na dumaan sa tamang proseso itong kanilang pag-aresto kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte?
Well, definitely, no, kasi yun nga, pinapagit na natin kanina, kung wala ka naman talagang tinatago, no, you come to court with clean hands, or you come to the Senate hearing with clean hands, and in this case, they are, saying rhetorics, that is opposite to the action that they're actually doing right now. So I think if they really want the public to really understand and know that what they did is legal, lawful, and constitutional, I think by all means they also have the sabihin na natin, the right manner at the very least, na umattend din dito sa pagdinig, because ito naman ay ginagawa natin dahil nga meron tayong merong kakayahan ang Kongreso na mag-conduct ng ganitong mga hearing. Hindi naman ito siguro kagaya lamang ng ordinary hearing na sinasabi ng marami sa atin a waste of taxpayers' money. I think this is very, very important because it may set a bad precedent later on. It's a question of jurisdiction. It's a question of sovereignty, of international law. And I think it's really adamant that the public understand and know what really transpired. So kung ikaw halimbawa, meron ka talagang ayaw ipabatid sa publiko, or kung may gusto ko rin naman silang ipaalam sa publiko, I think this is the opportune time for them to be able to do so. And sad to say, they're missing on the opportunity being given to them to be heard, because this is also a way by which they could rectify, especially in the eyes of the public, yung medyo masamang impression din na na-create nila with the arrest. So again, I'm not saying that the hearing is there to downplay them or to portray them as evil wrongdoers, no. But it's also a way for them to be able to clean themselves somehow and to make the public realize that what they did was really constitutional, if indeed it was really constitutional.
Opo, and nakita nyo po ba or meron po bang pananagutan ang sinuman kung hindi po sumusunod sa pulisiya po ng presidente, considering siya po yung chief architect sa ating foreign policy? Binabanggit na niya noon pa na hindi pwedeng makipag-ugnayan kasi kumalas na nga ang ICC, no? Hindi pwedeng makipag-ugnayan ng Pilipinas sa ICC. Pero lumalabas din doon sa investigasyon na meron nang nakapasok ng mga taga-ICC at parang binibigyan ng access dito at may mga nakikita si Senadora Amy Marcos na pakikipag-ugnayan. Meron po bang maaring parusa dito, Prof?
Well, definitely, no. Pwede talaga magkaroon ng mga legal repercussions yan because we are no longer a part of the Rome Statute. We're no longer a signatory to the treaty. So definitely, merong unjustifiable that may be there. Now, as to the exact sabihin na natin terminology of the case that could be filed, I am not really familiar with it exactly, pero definitely, no, dahil nga hindi na tayo kabilang sa ICC, meron talaga tayong pananagutan dyan, just in case na nakikipagkunay pa rin tayo or tayo mismo yung ibibigay ng mga detalye, din ng mga material evidences. I think that is something na talagang kailangan din natin.
Pero kung pagbabatayan mo yung mga dating pronouncement ng Pangulo tsaka nung mismong pahayag niya after na mailipad na ang dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte and at the same time itong mga galawan ng kanyang mga gabinete, do you think na walang alam ang Pangulo ukol dito sa possible na pakikipag-ugnayan ng mga opisyal ng gobyerno sa ICC?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Opo, kasi 'di ba, meron ng unang mga pronouncement ang dating Pangulo, hindi na makikipag-ugnayan. Tapos nagkaroon siya ng press conference after nung paglipad ni FPRRD, mga pronouncement niya, and itong mga pahayag o nung paliwanag ng mga taga-cabinet ni Bongbong Marcos sa mga media interviews bago pa itong mga Senate hearing. Nagtutugma po ba lahat itong mga sinasabi ng dating Pangulo? And naniniwala po ba kayo na or may alam o walang alam ang Marcos Jr. kung nakikipag-ugnayan ba ang ICC sa Pilipinas or ang Pilipinas sa ICC?
Well, I think talagang definitely medyo hindi tumutugma yung kanilang mga pronouncements, and the way I see it, it seems meron talagang cover up na nangyayari, and siguro itong mga ganitong usapin talagang kung magaling ang pagbusisi ni Senator Amy at kung maganda yung kanyang intelligence network, mas maiintindihan talaga natin kung ano ba talaga, no? Kung meron ba talagang nangyayaring sabihin na natin connivance between them. But at this point in time, what is very hindi talaga natin mauunawaan yung totality nito hanggat hindi talaga napapapunta mga tao na sabihin na natin nagsilbi na talagang instrumento at vital yung kanilang mga naging involvement dito sa ginawang. So yun nga, again, we go to the it's valid. If it was indeed constitutional, then wala silang hindi po pwedeng sagutin. So I don't understand the executive privilege, especially is a question here of abuse of authority and possible corruption of power on the part of the administration.
Opo. Prof, ano naman po yung masasabi ninyo sa naging pahayag po ng tagapagsalita ng ICC na ang gobyerno ng Pilipinas yung gumawa nitong hakbang na ito,
Yes.
hindi naman to effort ng ICC talaga. Ano po masasabi niyo po doon? Yun ba ay pwedeng magamit, nakikita niyo po, bilang argumento laban dito sa ating gobyerno?
Definitely. And I think from the foregoing, maaring itong argumento na to magamit din sa mas mabilisan o mas agarang pagpapalaya ng dating Pangulo, because lumalabas dito na talagang yung Pilipinas ang nag-initiate. So again, from a legal standpoint, makikita natin may irregularity rito because we have the option not to surrender the former president. And then again, from the vantage point of the general public, the impression also is not very good, because lumalabas na talagang may deliberate effort yung ating gobyerno, yung ating pamahalaan na isurrender yung ating dating Pangulo, na instead na proteksyonan natin, instead na siguruhin natin na siya ay malilitis dito sa ating bayan, ang nangyari tayo pa mismo yung nag-surrender sa isang dating opisyal. Hindi lang dating opisyal, isang dating Pangulo ng Pilipinas.
Opo, maaari po bang makatulong sa ICC? At nakikita nyo rin po ba na naging malinaw sa international community itong, kumbaga, parang dahilan kung bakit nga nandoon na sa ICC ang dating Pangulo, considering minadali, ang sabi pa ng ICC ay gobyerno ng Pilipinas ang may kagagawan, kaya nasa ICC na ang dating Pangulo, at masasabi matitingnan ngayon ng international community saglit, parang politika yan Kasi bakit wala din namang kaso siya sa Pilipinas? Sinasabi naganap ang kriminalidad 2011 hanggang 2019. Ano palang ginawa nila? Lalo na nung pag-upo mismo. Bakit ganito? Friends pa sila. Naging friends pa sila ng Duterte at Marcos. Naging kalyado pa yung anak. At sa nakalipas na halalan, do you think magagamit ito or titingnan ito na maigi ng ICC? And at the same time, yung tingin ngayon ng international community mas lumawak, at mas lumawak pa sa buong Pilipinas hanggang sa buong mundo, kung ano yung real score dito po sa mga pangyayaring ito, Prof.
Tama po yan. Actually, sa totoo lang, itong sa naging pahayag ng ICC na to, nagpahina lalo sa dati ng mahina na assertion ng ating pamahalaan regarding the constitutionality and the legality of the arrest. And then, yun nga, lalong nalubog, lalong-lalo na sa perception ng international community na talagang naging maliwanag that it's really politics. And I think the ICC at this point in time, they're already seeing the bigger picture. That this case is not really something born out of a judicial or a legal process, but it was really meant to be politicized. Or I mean, the root cause of this arrest that was conducted, it's purely politics. And the timing, of course, is very, very suspicious as well because we're nearing the elections. So I hope by this time the ICC will be able to see yung mas malaking kabuuan nitong nangyaring pag-aresto, at sana mas maintindihan nila na ito ay hindi lamang usapin ng legalidad. It's a question also of the political color and the political environment that is prevalent in the country at the moment.